In this video, we're going to learn how to make a nice navigation column, which is also a slightly responsive here, where you can see that it starts to take the full screen. Of course, we'll focus more on the desktop version here because this will be the most important part. So let's start now. It is now time to create what we call a column menu bar, which is quite interesting because a column menu bar will be here on the side. However, this menu bar is more oftenly used in a desktop or a larger screen compared to mobile. So let's start and explore this. So a few special notes here. We will need a extra style sheet to add up, which is FontAwesome 4.7. You can use any other FontAwesome CSS. The reason why I'm using that is because we're going to use their icons. So let's start and explore this and create our first column menu. Alright, to do this, first of all, we're going to put in here the first thing, which would be a div. Or this could be a section, because this will be on the side. Instead of from left to right, it will be from top to bottom. And this section will be here. We can call this the class of navigation. Basically, it's specifically matches the navigation. And then once we have that, the next item would be, of course, our logo. So we can say here we have a div, and we can say here the class will be LogoBox, and here we're going to put in the logo. So the logo will be, of course, a link, so it's the href, and this href will contain an image. And the image we put in here, we say source, and then equal, and you can put in any image. I have in the description the source for the image that you can use. So it's called here piggybanker.png, which is a banking design. Alright, so once we have this one, the next item what we will do is basically the links. So we want the links here on the side. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a nav for navigation. And in this nav, we will have items, and these items are as well anchor tags. So href equals, and then here, hashtag. And then in here, we have two items. Basically, we have the icon, which I will specify later on. So this is our icon, but also we will have a span, and this span will be basically the text, or let's say home, etc, etc. But we can do first, maybe that's more fun, just to only do icons for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the icons, and we're going to paste them in 4 times or 5 times total. So we have here one that's home. The other one would be savings account, because we have here the piggy banker, so assuming that this is a savings bank. And then we have here about, contact, and then maybe here sign in. Alright, so once we have this here, and we can save this now and refresh, you can see we have the items here. They're all working accordingly. They are just here beside each other, but this is just only a basics. Let's start to work on the CSS. So what we want to do, first of all, we want to make a color for our section, and our section will have a fixed width. So we say here section, and we can give it the navigation section then, because that's the class name. In case, the reason why I'm doing that is if you would have another section, for example the body part, or the footer section, etc, etc, or the article section, you can use multiple times, because section tag can be used multiple times. So having it specified with a class will specify or pinpoint the exact item that we want, that's this class here. Alright, so we have this here, and what we will say here is the background color. And the background color, we have our default settings ready here, and we have here our default colors here in a variable. So we say here background variable function, and then in here we're going to get the pinkish color here, which is dash dash. It's always with double dash, and then number 1. Alright, so once we have that, we can set still a width, and we can do the width in percentage, in pixels or in something else. I would recommend to put it here in fixed pixels so you know exactly what you can expect. So let's say here this would be 50 pixels. Alright. And finally we will do a tiny padding here of 10 pixels. And once we have this here, we still have to, well, let's save this first and refresh. You can see here now we have this. Alright. So we have the width here, we have the height. Well, what happened with the height is a default, and I figured out the width here is currently not suitable. So we're going to make the width maybe 100 pixels. Save, refresh. Alright, that's slightly better. And then what we're going to do here, the padding is 10 pixels, which is fine. We want to make this full height. So we say here, let's check here if we can do height 100%. Most likely not. No. Alright, and the reason why we cannot do 100% here, because we didn't set up our item here. So the main reason is because we don't have any reference to any other. Basically here this is the case. If you have the height 100%, it should be 100% on the parent, but there's no parent here, so there's no parent element. That's because there is only a body, but that's not the case, or we even didn't assign here any height. So in this case we can just leave that. What we'll do is here is 100 VH for the vertical height of the screen. There you are, so that is fine. Then what we can do here is display, and put in your flex, and if we do this, we save this. Alright, then what we can say here is justify content, because what we want to do is we want to put it in the center, and then we say here, can we do it center? Well, we can probably do it not only center, but we want to put it here up. So we say here flex start. Alright, so we are now up here, and then here items, align, we can say left if I'm not mistaken. Save this. Here you are. But then what we need to do here is a flex display or flex direction, and this one is column. Once we save this, there we are. So we have this one. We can probably do this center as well. I realize we save that, refresh. Now you can see we are here on the center. But let's double check here with these items here. As you can see, this entire nav is in the center as well, because it takes the total space of 80 pixels of width. Alright, so that's fine. We were going to work on that one, and we're going to start working and make that proper as well. So now we have one part of this ready, because basically this is our item here. We can do the logo, and then after we can work on this part here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pinpoint the logo box. And you can see right now we have this black icon here, or black image. And what we want to do here now is we're going to give this a white color. So we say here logo, and then we're going to look at where it is. So it's in the logo box, and then in the href, on the anchor tag, and then img. So logo a img to pinpoint the image here. So we say here logo box, a for href or anchor tag, and then img for the image. And then we say here, we'll say the following. We say filter, we give the image a filter, and the filter will be an invert, and the invert will be 1, meaning that the image will invert itself on whatever it is. So if it's black, it becomes white, and that's what we want. Refresh here, there you are. So now it's a nice white color because it has been inverted from the opposite. Basically get the opposite value. Alright, so we've got this now. This is perfect. The next item will be our nav bar here, or basically the navigation tag. So what we're going to do here in the navigation tag is basically this. We'll say here navigation or nav, and then there's no class in here, so that's alright. And in the nav, well, maybe we should give it a proper class here. We'll just say this class is menu. Alright, so we say here also dot menu. And then in here we can say display, no, not direction, display flex for flexbox. And then once we have this, if we save this now and refresh, alright, they're now all next to each other, which is correct because that's what flexbox does by default. And then what we will say is, again, justify content, and then we say here flex start, putting it at the very start. All right. And then what we want to do here is align items, center, save. All right, so now it's being in the center, but now, of course, what we want to do exactly the same here, flex direction to control and make it look like a column. So flex direction, column. Once we save that, refresh, there we are. All right, so we have now something here, and you can see here right now, it looks a bit messy. So let's see here what we can do. Well, probably we can reposition it. Instead of flex start, we can just put it in the center as well. To refresh, it maintains itself, meaning that, oh, of course, because this is such a big item here, that's all right. And probably here flex item, maybe we can even do text align, center, save that, refresh, there you are. All right, so it starts to work. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure that there's some padding and margin, because these are now here columns. It's considered that this design here, these items are, because we have here this nav tag as display flex and set into columns. You can see a flex direction columns. That would mean that every item here is probably a block. So we can double check this. So if this is display, we can check here the items here. We can do a computed, and then we go down here in display. We search on display on the href, and then we can say here, go down to D, letter D, display block. All right. To make sure, we can of course pinpoint this exactly. So we say here nav.menu, and then we say A for href or anchor tag, and then we say here display block, and then here if we do this, refresh. All right. The reason why we want display block is just for one reason, because display block and display inline block uses or is able to read the padding and the margins properly. So we're going to say here padding now, we say 20 pixels each side. If we save this, refresh, there you are. All right, so that looks nice. And next, what we want to do now is we want to give it a font color here. So this could be here color, and then here variable, and then we can say here dash dash color number 3, which is a number 3. And if we do this refresh, we can see here now this becomes a white color. But now what we want to do is we want to use the FunAwesome item. So we can say home here. Basically, we could do this. We can say here icon class, and then here, and then we say here font, and then again for FunAwesome, and then we say here fixed width. Well, maybe we don't need to do that. We already have a fixed width, and then we can say here home. If we do this and save that, you can see now we have a home, but we need to make sure that this icon has increased. FunAwesome has that design as well. We can say FA 2x if I'm not mistaken, and if we refresh it, there you are. Well, we can do maybe 3x just to make it as big as possible without any damaging. All right. So here, this could be eventually a span. So now we have all of this, and the only thing what we want to do now is put it here for the other items as well. So I'm going to copy all of this, put in here, then here could be the closing span, paste, 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 closing span, contact, about. All right. So now what we can do is we have put some icons here. We can add up some icons that we want. Sign in probably has a sign in, if I'm not mistaken. All right. All right. So we see here some issues. Sorry, we can remove that. That's not necessary. Span. There we are. All right, so that looks better. Okay, if we refresh here, so now we have here the sign in. We have your contact. This could be a user. About. It could be, well, this could be maybe bank. If we have bank instead of house, about could be info, and here savings could be credit card icon. If we save that, there we are. So now we have this. What we can do here, as I realize that I don't like this, that the logo is smaller than our icon, so we can change this. So we should make this smaller here, smaller there, smaller here. Alright, if you save this, refresh, that looks slightly better. Then what I want to do here is the following. So I notice that the about here is starting to cover this. We should maybe have a fixed width on here. We can try to do this, fixed width. We save that. Alright, that's slightly better. So we're going to copy that to ensure that every item is below. There you are. This one, just for proper sake, make it more organized, put them all together. There you are. So now what we want to do is we want to remove this underline, make these, this one is still, well, maybe we could do it, well, that's alright for now. What we do want to do is make the font here more smaller, so it's more appropriate. So what we're going to do is, because we have the span here, first few things is we're going to make this underline remove. So we say here, underline or text decoration, none. And refresh, there you are. And then what we can do here is the font size. But the font size must be pinpointed only on the text here, which is, in our case, the span. If not, if we are going to control the font size, it might control this, although this might probably overrule it. But what we want to do is, let's get only the span, just to be sure. So we go here back towards our style sheet, and in here we say nav.menu a span. And then in here, we'll say font size. Then we can do it 10 pixels. We save that, refresh, and there you are. And what you can see here, I realize that this should have at least a margin bottom, a bit at the bottom here. Let's go to our image. Alright, and then we say here, margin, you can say your bottom, and you can do here 30 pixels. Save that, refresh. Alright, that looks slightly better. And with that, you can basically create your own menu here. We could probably do some Hoover effects. So what I will say here is the following. We'll just copy this one, and the moment we hover, oh well, we can do it here. In the nav, so I say here nav.menu a colon Hoover. And in here, we're going to work on the Hoover effect, and we say here, font weight, and then we say here bold. Do that, and if we hover over it, you can see now it gets slightly bold. Beautiful. And of course, we could do it another way. We could give it maybe additional color or something like that. We could do that as well. Let's try that one as well. We can do this, just give it a special highlight. What would be a proper color here? Well, let's say we want this color, but then in a slightly different way. We're going to make it a color that we will rumble a bit. So let's say we'll make this A1 and then double F. Save that, refresh, and now if you hover over it, as you can see, now it jumps out, although this green is, to be honest, not that appealing. However, this is the way you can do it. And with this, you created now a column size menu specifically for large screens. I repeat, this is really specifically for large screens. And the reason why, well, basically what we could do is we can basically adjust this as well to what happens if we have this here, mobile design, and then maybe we can do full width. Well, we can do that immediately. So let's start and do that one. That would be maybe fun as well. So to do that, we will say add media, and then we say here only screen and then we put in here, so we want only the screen or the screen size and max width. So right now this is not mobile first, but this is basically desktop first. So but we do make it mobile responsive. So we say max width would be 991 pixels. Why 991? Because Bootstrap used that before, and that became eventually one of the default standards. As they made this very, very famous at the time. Alright, so what we're going to do here basically is this. What we want to do is, the moment we are mobile, we want to move this to full width. That's it. We're going to do that for full width, although, is that really a good idea if you have a default thing? Probably not. You should have like a cancel button here, or like a pop-up the moment we click on it. But for now, doesn't matter. I just want to make this only full width. So what we're going to do here is basically we'll say our navigation here, which has this background, we're going to copy this. Section navigation, and then we say here width would be 100% of the screen itself. So if you do this, there we are. Alright, that looks nice. Then you can see here now what happens is the image and everything here needs to be repositioned as well. So now the flex direction, we have this, and then what we have to do here is to see if we can just reposition this again. Well, we don't have to do the flex, but most likely these two should be pinpointed, and then not start, but here center. There we are. Oh, this is probably not really what we want. What we want to do is specified content center, and we need to figure out now what's going on here. Does it understand? Oh, there you are. Well, it does understand the moment we are on this screen, but not here. So let's double check what's going on here. So we have this. Alright, so what we need to do here is we can create here the nav menu, and the logo box needs to understand that we are now on full width. So that's what we're going to do. We'll leave this here for now. And then what we will say here is the logo, or not specifically the logo box, but yeah, the logo box we can say here, yes, that's the one, logo box, and then here we say width 100%. Alright, this here is 100%. So then what we need to do here, logo box, where are we now? So maybe we can do here a display flex, then we say here item align center, save that. And no, because we need justified content, that's the one we need. Justified content will create it to the center. So you do this, save this to the center. I need to figure out, oh, alright, we have here something. Let's double check what's going on here. Or why is there a fixed width that is far too low? This will overrule, and then we say here width 100%, of course. Sorry. Alright, that explains it. 100%. There you are. That explains as well the unpredictable behavior. If we save this and change that, alright. If we would remove this all again, double check. There you can see. So then we have the right item here now. And there we have here our link. So basically this would be a way to do it. Maybe we want to push this slightly up. So we should have maybe no item align here. Refresh. Oh. Let's double check here the item align on this one. If we do that, we push it up here. Well, that's probably not what we want. This is probably a way better design. What we could do here is maybe put in here an icon where we can close it, but for now that will be fine. Most important thing is now if you would be full width in screen and max screen this, let's double check here what's going on. We have the width 100% here, and we have our navigation here is 100% over 100 pixels. So let's double check here what's going on. are we on? If we do this, all right, there you are. You can see right now, the moment we have the right size of the screen, this will work beautifully. And this is the way basically how you can create a column. And should you make a column also suitable for mobile, well, I would say probably by then I have another video that covers the topic on how to make a navigation bar. You can play around with it as well. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you enjoy this video, you probably will enjoy this one as well. And if you're interested in Chart.js, check out in the description box the link directing to my Chart.js course where you can learn everything about Chart.js. And finally, of course, make sure you subscribe to my channel.